Good afternoon, my name's Conklin McLeod with NBN's local news. This afternoon, Sharon Clayton fires back, plus the jury to decide a driver's fate. And Adam O'Brien backing Tex Hoyt filling for Callum Ponga for tomorrow's clash with the Bulldogs. But first though, House of Representatives Deputy Speaker Sharon Clayton has had to remind Shadow Treasurer Angus Taylor to stop referring to her as Mr. Speaker before he went on to use the term another 4 times. Meanwhile, Speaker Milton Dick was in the Speaker's chair at 3:27 p.m. on Thursday when Mr. Taylor started his speech on the cost of living. Miss Clayton, who is also the federal member for Newcastle, stepped into the Speaker's chair partway through Mr. Taylor's speech at about 3:29 p.m. After this, Mr. Taylor used the term Mr. Speaker 29 times. A spokesperson for Mr. Taylor said he was caught up in the moment of the speech and meant no offence to the Deputy Speaker. Miss Clayton addressed Mr. Taylor during an interjection, saying this: "I have waited because I was loath to interrupt you, but you have called me Mr. Speaker on at least a dozen occasions," she said. Also, she said this later on: "My title is Deputy Speaker. I don't need a Mr., a Mrs., a Madam. It's just Deputy Speaker." Mr. Taylor apologised and said he would go with Deputy Speaker, only to call Miss Clayton Mr. Speaker, a controversial further 4 times. But then, just about an hour later, Miss Clayton fired back, saying this: "Seriously, Shadow Treasurer, you are just going to have to dump the Mr. Speaker when I'm in the chair, okay?" she said. Her office was contacted for comment. Miss Clayton was elected Deputy Speaker on July 26 and thanked her Labor colleagues for nominating her and the whole Parliament for electing her. Singleton residents will vote today for the fourth time since May last year. A by-election for Singleton's nine councillors has been held again after a February Supreme Court ruling found the results from December 2021 were void due to a failure with the online iVote system. According to the New South Wales Electoral Commission, 55 of the 2,467 ballots cast online in December's election failed. First preferences in the election had Sarah Johnstone on track to secure a spot on council. However, final counting saw Miss Johnstone miss out by just 3 votes by Councillor Val Scott. Miss Johnstone said on Friday she is more confident about getting on council this time around, when she said this: "Last time was my first time and it was different with the COVID voting restrictions." Then she said this: "I'm placed better on the voting card this year, and while you don't want to rely on donkey votes, they all help." As owner of Singleton Books, etc., Miss Johnstone said she was not sure about running again, but was encouraged to do so by members of the public. The jury has retired to begin determining the fate of Katie Holmes, accused of driving dangerously when she hit and killed Anne Burke at Head and Greta in 2020. Miss Holmes was allegedly speeding and had traces of methamphetamine, commonly known as ice, in her system when she hit and killed 47-year-old Miss Burke as she walked right across Main Road at about 10:50 p.m. on February 15, 2020. The 29-year-old has pleaded not guilty to dangerous driving occasioning death and a trial in Newcastle's District Court this week has focused on whether Miss Holmes was driving dangerously in the moments before the fatal pedestrian crash. Families whose children catch Hunter Valley buses services and are to and from school have been encouraged to subscribe online to receive SMS alerts about cancelled or changed services. The company has been under pressure after cancelling a number of services with little or no prior notice or replacement services which have left students stranded. Meanwhile, Port Stephens MP Kate Washington has called on the government to explore local solutions. Intensive care rescue paramedic Emma Shawyer is preparing to swap the front line for the finish line when she runs the New York Marathon in November. The Singleton-based paramedic and mum of two was one of more than 120 first responders who applied to Fortum Australia, a not-for-profit organisation that supports the mental fitness and well-being of first responder families, for the chance to represent the country at the largest marathon in the world. Fortum Australia chose Miss Sawyer, two policewomen and a fireman, and will pay for their flights, accommodation, and marathon entry. Donny Borzestowski's job is hard work. Every night he jumps in with all of his energy to create the driving beat behind the gang of youths, one of Australia's hottest acts on the world stage. But with his flailing, massive, long black hair and rapid fiery arms, Borzestowski looks possessed by the music when he's in action. Newcastle will get to see Donny, who of course is one of our own, when the band plays the Newcastle Entertainment Centre on August the 5th. A Newcastle man has been jailed for 6 years over multiple sexual abuse charges, including offences against a woman and a child. The Australian Federal Police investigation into the 44-year-old man began in November 2020 when he was identified for a nationwide investigation known as Operation Arkstone, a large-scale child protection operation. The man was arrested on December 17th, 2020, when AFP officers searched his home and seized multiple electronic devices. An examination of the devices revealed conversations indicating his sexual interest in children, as well as the distribution of intimate images of a woman without her consent. He was initially charged with 2 counts of distributing intimate images without consent. A confidential report containing details of the cultural significance of Ravenswood's homestead may yet put to a stop to mining giant Glencore's plans to expand Glendale coal mine near Singleton. The Independent Planning Commission was expected to make a determination this week on Glencore's plans to more than double annual production at the mine for the next 2 decades. 2 starving beagles have been rescued from a cage at the back of a property in Marks Park in Lake Macquarie. Dog Rescue Newcastle said the hound dogs, a mother and daughter aged 15 and 7, were about a third of their normal weight. Rescuers alleged the dogs were starving to death and covered in mud and faces. Photos of the dogs show their ribs were visible through their skin. They had no bedding or blankets. Police have pressed more than 200 charges across the region in recent weeks over a spat of stolen cars, thefts of items inside motor vehicles, break-ins at homes, and dangerous driving, mainly by juveniles posting footage of their alleged crimes on social media platform TikTok. 22 people have been arrested so far, including one alleged offender whose modus operandi involving removing windows from cars. 244 charges have been pressed again across the region in relation to the incidents, with another 20 counts anticipated. The alleged offenders, mostly by teenagers, have been in the Lake Macquarie, Port Stephens, Hunter, the Hunter Valley, and Newcastle Police District areas. 7 teenagers were charged with 40 counts in June after they, among other alleged offenders, live streamed a pursuit with officers on social media. Or how much Elton John is enough for Newcastle music fans? Well, it turns out one massive concert at McDonald Jones Stadium wasn't sufficient. The music icon has added a second Newcastle show at McDonald Jones Stadium for Sunday, January 8, which is 2023, following an overwhelming demand in pre-sales for the January 10 show at the Broadmeadow venue. Meanwhile, second shows have also been announced for Melbourne's Amy Park on January the 14th and Sydney's Allianz Stadium. It'll be part of Elton John's farewell Yellow Brick Road tour. Tiny Hours Villages could be a bite-sized solution to Lake Macquarie's housing issues. It might be the next move for families looking to downsize, people experiencing homelessness, or eco warriors wanting to live with like-minded individuals. But in any case, it's Deputy Mayor Jason Pauling's potential answer to the city's housing diversity problems. Meanwhile, Hunter Defence Task Force Chair Tim Owen has emerged from a visit to Singapore, enthusiastic about the region's prospects of doing business with its Southeast Asian neighbour. Mr. Owen said his meeting with representatives of ST Engineering, a state-controlled aerospace, defence and security group with an annual revenue of more than $7 billion, have been positive. Sports up next, as Adam O'Brien backs Tex Hoy to be the number one.
We want to see your dreams come true. And the reason that we're here today is just because of you. This is our town. It's here that we're born and bred. We've been through the rough times, been through the tough times, know about the good times ahead. We know how to do it your way. Build it up in your own hometown. Make it grow with the people you know. People who won't let you down. You know where you're going, and we wanna go with start your day.
Knights coach Adam O'Brien is confident Tex Hoy will prove a capable fill-in for however long Callum Ponga is sidelined, and the statics support his faith. Ponga will miss tomorrow's clash with Bulldogs at McDonald Jones Stadium after suffering his fifth concussion of the season in last week's loss to the Roosters. It's taken 7 years and 3 attempts, but the Knights finally have their man. Peter Parr's appointment this week as the club's new director of football comes after he turned down offers to return home to Newcastle to fill a similar role on 2 previous occasions because the timing wasn't right. New South Wales Rugby League have prioritised single-body governance model for the code in the Newcastle and Hunter region, potentially bringing together 3 existing organisations under one banner. This off-field move targets the Newcastle Rugby League, the Newcastle and Hunter Rugby League, and the Hunter Junior Rugby League, which are all currently separate entities. In round 17 of the Newcastle Rugby League, Maitland has defeated Souths with a 34-4 win, while Cessnock has defeated the entrants 28-6. Meanwhile, Western Suburbs were too good for Lakes United 20-18, while Central continued Curry's painful losing streak by beating them 56-0. And the Macquarie Scorpions secured their biggest win over the Wyong Roos, 44-0. To Commonwealth Games, and Christy Dawes hopes her Newcastle training pays off when she navigates Birmingham's hilly marathon course today. The Mayweather wheelchair athlete, a 7-time Paralympian, now aged 42, has been preparing on the streets at home ahead of her upcoming assignment. To ice hockey, and Captain Liam Manwaring says the Newcastle North Stars are keen to move on from their decent reality check of dual losses the last week when they faced the Sydney Ice Dogs this afternoon. The North Stars host them at the Hunter Ice Skating Stadium at Warners Bay in their final Australian ice hockey match at home this season. To soccer, and in the Hunters NPL competition, in the men, Newcastle Olympic have lost attacking spark Musa Kamara in a bittersweet exit ahead of a crunch game with leaders Charlestown, and Tuesday's Australia Cup clash with A-League premiers Melbourne City at the number 2 sports ground. Now to the women, and of course, Coach Paul De Vitas knows defence will be key to producing a repeat victory over Warners Bay in round 17 tomorrow. But that does not mean paying extra attention to any of the Panthers' numerous goal-scoring weapons. Basketball, and the Newcastle Falcons will test their NBL 1 East title credentials this weekend with a tough doubleheader against the Inner West Bulls at Ryde on tonight, and Norths at the Bear Cove tomorrow. The Falcons men's team have dropped 3 of their past 4 to slide from top spot on the ladder to third. Meanwhile, the women have gone. Meanwhile, the women have done absolutely amazing, and of course, the women will have to do exactly that. Um, as Newcastle's women climb a bit higher than that to go through to the finals. In round 15 of the AFL Hunter Central Coast, and Turgot Avoca have secured a win over Singleton. Cardiff also won after beating Maitland. Also, Killarney Vale have all but returned to their undefeated winning run after defeating Newcastle City. To the C grade ladies league tag of the Newcastle and Hunter Rugby League, and Dudley and Cardiff have shared the points 10 all, while West Wallsend defeated Shortland and Awabakor has defeated Morpeth 18-10. To round 14 of the Hunter Rugby Union, and Hamilton has secured a win over Maitland, while Mayweather Carlton has beaten the Southern Beaches 47-14, while the University of Newcastle has defeated Nelson Bay. There was heartbreak for the Hunter Wildfires in the Shute Shield. They went down to Eastern Suburbs 36-20. While Wildfires Colts also went down, while the women secured a win in the Jack Scott Cup. Now for the weather, it will be alright for Newcastle, as well as for Scone and also for Cessnock. It'll be alright for Wallsend and also for Maitland, as well as for Muswellbrook. And that's it from all the latest news from NBN for this Saturday. But for now, from all of us here, good night.